All right, so thank you for coming today. I'm here to talk about the research that we've done at Ohio State, and I speak about these on behalf of myself and my research associate, Dana, who is attending virtually. She couldn't make the trip, unfortunately. Okay, so in Ohio, we have two research demonstration trials, which are also our cultivar evaluation trials. One of them is a pointer, yeah. One of them is in Clark County, right here. So about in the west side of the state. And this trial is in a public garden. It's Snyder Parks and Arboretum. It is a park that is part of it is strictly managed by the County Extension Master Gardener program, and we have a randomized complete block design with 5 blocks, and we have planted 16 cultivars in 2024, and then a few more came in 2025, so they were planted, and we evaluated 18 cultivars in 2025, and I will show you the list of cultivars as I show the data. So in this park, we have basically a path here, and then the plants are on one side and on the other side of the path, and so they're blocked within the sides. So it's block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is Dana right there evaluating disease. This is Zen. Some of you may remember her. She was an undergraduate student at Texas A&M, and then came to Ohio State to get their master's. And every month, as you can see here, there's those little tags that NAR showed earlier. So we scan the tag with our phone, and then we upload the data to Joe's online database that he'll talk about later. The second trial is in the northwest side of the state, up here. This is Wayne County. It's also the housing of our one of our satellite campuses. This is the Worcester campus of Ohio State, and we planted our trial in an historical garden. This used to be a rose garden that was completely uprooted because of rose rosette disease, and for a few years they had planted random ornamental plants in there until I reached out to them and said, hey, would you be willing to replant roses here and evaluate them for performance related to black spot and rose rosette. And so here again is Dana, one of my undergrad students, one of my former grad students. Pretty much anybody who's been in my lab for the last 3 years has been involved with these trials at some point or another. And so these, you can see that there's already some informational material there for the public to know what rose rosette is and what type of impact rose rosette had on this historical garden. And this is right in front of the garden right there. And you can see my students planting. And at this site, we don't have a block design. We have a completely random design, but still we have 5 wraps for each of the 18 cultivars. We had 18 cultivars since the first year. Both these trials were planted in 2023, and then they were evaluated in 2024 and in 2025. And we visited the trials monthly from May through October. And you can see rain or shine, we were there every month, and every month we evaluated the severity of rose rosette disease based on the presence or absence of the different symptoms that Kevin talked about and how much of that symptom is observed on the plant. And then we evaluated the percentage of plant area that is showing symptoms of black spot and the amount of the plant that is defoliated, possibly due to black spot. And so here are the data, and I'm going to show the data only from one site because we haven't analyzed the ones from the second site. So bear with me, but these are, this is the incidence of, the severity of black spot, and it's expressed as area under the disease progress curve. This is a measure of disease progress. So it's the individual monthly evaluations over the course of the number of days that are covered by this evaluation. And it's the most accurate measure of disease progress in a planting. And so you can see that's the mean right there. And you can see that there's definitely plants or cultivars that are performing much better in terms of severity than others right here. So we have Winnipeg Parks, Marmalade Skies, and Carefree Wonder, which were some of the cultivars that were showing higher disease severity. We had high disease pressure in 2024. It was a very hot and humid year. In 2025, we had lower disease pressure, but even in that case, you can see that the same cultivars that performed the least in 2024 also performed the least in 2025. And those that performed the best also performed the best in 2025. Now, some of the symptoms of black spot, this was a big learning curve for a lot of us. We're used to see black spot as these necrotic spot that has this fuzzy margin, and this is because the fungus grows under the cuticle, and you can actually see the threads of the body of the fungus that are growing out. And then eventually, the leaves become yellow, and that's right before that leaf is going to fall off the plant. But in some other instances, some of these cultivars, we really weren't sure whether we were looking at black spot or not. The symptoms looked very different based on cultivars. And beyond that, there was so much disease on this plant. I mean, I can tell you that maybe a plant was performing really well for black spot, but then it was definitely not performing well for all kinds of other leaf spots. I mean, we had Cercospora leaf spot, we had anthracnose, we had spot anthracnose, we had some other stuff, but we don't even know what leaf spot that is. But there was just an insane amount of disease, and we have, made we tracked what we were seeing and how much of that was impacting the plant, but our data collection was strictly focused on black spot and rose rosette. We had powdery mildew, we had rust. Some of the plants were really heavily affected by rust. So bottom line, the defoliation data, which is what we looked at, needs to take into account that, I was rating a plant and how much of the plant was defoliated, but I can't tell whether the defoliation is due to black spot or to other leaf spot pathogens. But even then, you can see that the cultivars that perform the least are always the same. The cultivars that perform the best are always the same. So this is good, important information. And you can see, some cultivars really lost their leaves very early in the season. Some others kind of like in between. And this is how big the plants have gotten in just 2 years. I mean, it's insane. Okay, what about rose rosettes? So in Clark County, which is the same site where I have shown black spot and defoliation results, we did not detect any rose rosette in 2024. And then we did not detect any rose rosette in 2025 until our last rating. So in September 25, we had one plant, one of the Easy Elegance My Girl plants that showed symptoms right here. And we have shipped these symptomatic shoot that you see here to Kevin's lab, and they have confirmed that this plant was positive through qPCR. The symptoms that this plant was showing are pretty much all the ones that have been described for rose rosette, and mites were present on this plant. Now, what is interesting to me is that this plant was one of the outside edges of the planting, and so likely, it's the first one that caught the mites as the mite came in, and so we are expecting now to see possibly increased amount of plants that show disease next year as the mite establishes. In Wayne County, we did not detect any rose rosette in 2024, although we were suspicious many times, and we've shipped samples to diagnostic labs to get them confirmed, and none of the samples came back positive. But in 2025, we had 2 plants. One was, again, an Easy Elegance My Girl, and then one was a Tahitian Treasure, which is the one that you see here. And both tested positive. In the My Girl plant, we saw the lab, Kevin's lab, they saw mites on the plant, but in the Tahitian treasure, there were no mites on the sample that was submitted to the clinic. And here are the symptoms and the progression. So we saw this shoot over here that was symptomatic, and that was in early July. And then a month later, the plant was completely covered by symptoms. So the progression of that of the disease in that plant was very, very quick within just a month. And here is the other one. You can see that the plant had died at the end of the previous year, and then we had this new shoot that came out, and the plant was completely symptomatic. We have also done some demonstration events with a variety of rose enthusiasts. So these had master gardeners, but also just the general public. We have been involved with Cultivate. Many of you may know what Cultivate is. It's one of the biggest green industry events in the country, and it happens in Columbus every summer. And there's often greenhouse tours, grower tours, production tours associated with it. So that one year we hosted a group and we talked to them about the project, and we showed them the plants and what we were doing related to this. And then here is that one symptomatic plant up in Wayne County I gave a talk about rose diseases, and then we went out with a group and walked the garden and looked at the symptoms. So what is next as far as Ohio is concerned? We have started the Mighty-Side trial this year. So we're following the same protocol that we have established within the extension group. We have 5 replications. We have set up our trial as a randomized complete block. We are doing this trial in container, so the plants are not in the ground. They are in container, and we have inoculated them with clippings of symptomatic multiflora rose where the mite was present. And so we have pretty much hung these clippings of infested plant, infested and infected plant by our container trials. And each plant had a bunch of symptomatic shoots. And then we have applied the Mighty-Side and the antiviral and the combination, so the same treatments that NAR showed earlier. And we have run the trial over the summer, and we just concluded it because it's already 32 degrees in Ohio, and plants aren't doing anything anymore. So we are going to harvest the shoots and then send them to NAR or Kevin for confirmation. We saw no symptoms, so visually there's nothing with the plants, but we don't know whether the mite has reproduced on them and whether the virus has been transmitted to them. So we'll provide an update on that next year. But we will repeat these next year so that we have 2 seasons of data, and then we'll do more ratings in spring and summer of 26 in both our Wayne County and Clark County evaluation trials, and then we'll continue doing extension talks and events as they happen throughout the year. And go back.